Dana White, at a press conference, host Conor Floyd. And so many members of the media were asking Dana, as the head of the UFC, if this is a road he's going to continue to explore, which is the crossover match of one of his champions against one of the greats from the boxing world. And Dana said no. Dana said, but you have to understand, it's not because I'm against doing it. It's just something that I don't believe in sustainability-wise. You had to have a lot of things come together for these massive fights. A lot of it is not just Conor and Floyd. It's Conor as the two-division sitting champion versus Floyd. Any one piece of that story goes away, so does the mystique of the fight. Dana made this very clear, and he said it very simply. But I sorted away and I remembered it. And I'm bringing it back to you guys. Timing is everything in the fight game. So many things have to come together. Cyril Gane versus Francis Ngannou 2 weeks ago doesn't work. It doesn't work. We could do it. We could sell a bunch of tickets for it. Now it is must see. It is massive. Why? Because of the timing, because of the story, because of the way things that have developed. And as much as I'm sure that you're convinced that Francis and Cyril, yes, Chael, you're selling me a Ferrari. I got it. Yeah, I know I'm stating the obvious. What I'm trying to get you to draw a bridge to is if Cyril and Francis works. It works. We've all agreed that works. Absolutely. Must see. Excited? Okay. They're not going to fight for 4 more years. Well, you just said you loved it. What don't you like about it? It's going to be in the same weight class. It's going to be under the same rules. It's going to be the same 2 guys in that same damn octagon. Why do you care if it's in 4 years? Well, now what I've done is I've done a good job of supporting what Dana made clear after Conor and Mayweather. Things have to come together in the right time to have a mega fight. John versus Blachowicz, sure, go ahead and do it. It's fine. It's not going to be any bigger a year from now. It's not even bigger right now than it would have been 12 months ago. It's a good fight. Let's see it. Get the 2 top guys in there and they'll fight. We'll give them a belt at the end. It's a good fight. There's nothing massive on it, and there's never going to be. And as these opportunities go by and as you miss them, I'll give you one more final example. Dominic Cruz, the greatest 135-pounder the world's ever seen. Demetrius Johnson, the greatest 125-pounder the world has ever seen. Those 2 fought. Are you even aware of that? Do you guys even know what I just said to you? That would have been a super fight, a mega fight. They would break into SportsCenter to make the announcement that that fight was going to happen at certain points in their career. Those 2 fought before Demetrius was Demetrius, before Dominic was Dominic. I think it was in the WEC. It could have been in the UFC, but I think it was the WEC. I saw the fight. I can't even remember the organization. They just fought at the wrong time. That's all it was. They just happened to fight at the wrong time. What I'm saying to you should be completely obvious, but for some people that miss it, you got to get the fights you can get when you can get them. You got to win the fights you can win when you can win them. You all have a window. John's looks to be a bigger window than most. Okay, fine. He's still in that same vortex. And now Francis is going through it. Francis, who was on the cusp of losing his championship to an opponent that he never should have been facing. If Francis knew Cyril was the guy, I'm using the word if, but these 2 trained together. They have an opinion of who can win that fight. Everybody that ever watched it and all the trainers and coaches and people running the cameras in the room have an idea of who could win the fight. If Cyril is the guy, Francis had the ability to avoid him while staying his friend. Francis never had to stab him in the back. He never had to take an opportunity from him. He could have very come forward, said, I support this guy. He's my teammate. Francis could have then turned to Cyril and said, Cyril, as a matter of fact, will you corner me for this fight? Get Cyril involved. It's the whole reason Daniel Cormier never fought Cain Velasquez. Not just because they were teammates and friends, but Cain went a step further and put Daniel in his corner, gave Daniel a piece to do it. Now, Daniel has a loyalty and obligation to Cain of a whole nother level. And not only did they never fight and Daniel take Cain's belt away or even try to take his belt away, Daniel changed his own life, went down to 205 pounds, fledged his own career, waited till Cain left the sport, moved on up to heavyweight and showed us what he can do. I bring it to you because there's ways that they could have done this. You have to do a good idea of identifying who are the guys that I want to stay away from. Who are the guys that are most likely to take my dreams away? You then got to start planning your strategies and your moves. John Jones versus Adesanya was massive. It's not massive anymore. John versus Francis was massive. It's not massive anymore. So if you're going to go out and you're going to do the work anyway, and you're going to do it against the same guy anyway, you want to try to get as much attention as you possibly can. Makes sense. It could happen to you once. If you don't learn the lesson, it happens a second time. Who really is to blame?